go try to block every shot, and I'm gonna be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. They talking pundits, I hear you're ashamed. Talking that shop, you must run this way. Tryna tell ya, look the dog palm, mess around, find out, Look the dog palm, mess around, find out, For some barbecue sauce, boy, you better crop a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're ready for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better crop a hill, cause I'm like that. Mess around, find out.
What is up, though, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Downtown Deuce Show. My apologies for the delay. I know this was set for 11 o'clock. I am just getting back home from Little Caesars Arena. Got caught in traffic. Traffic was absolutely nuts downtown tonight, but that's because it was packed out downtown tonight at the game. This game was absolutely packed out. So I want to say welcome everybody to the show. This was a tough game, but it's not the end of the world. I know we are all pretty upset about various things in this matchup tonight, but it's not the end of the world for Pistons fans at this point. Just looking at this game, there's some things the Pistons could have done much, much better. Some things that they did do well, but, as a whole, they had a chance to win this game, but they did not do enough down the stretch to get the win. And because of that, they lose 118-116 to the New York Knicks, giving home court advantage back to the Knicks tonight. And I want to start by talking about something that I was proud to see even before tip-off. For those of you who know, King and I have been covering these games together. We weren't able to tonight because I got home so late. But we've been covering these games together. And one thing that we have really been campaigning for was the final countdown theme to be played, right? And I like to think that we were at least partially responsible for that actually coming to fruition. Guys, I was there in the arena tonight. And for those of you who were there, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps listening to that theme song again. It had been so long since I heard it. And it just felt, it took me back to the Bad Boys and the Going to Work team. Just hearing that and just seeing how the guys responded to it, right? Just seeing how the guys responded to it was incredible, man. It was incredible. So I am thankful for the Pistons for granting all of us that wish. It didn't come with a win. I thought the Pistons were going to win this game. But even despite that, it was just nice to feel the vibes again. If you guys remember, those who remember when it was played, back in the early 2000s and the early 1990s and 80s, late 80s, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So thank you to the Pistons for that. I'm not sure if they're going to continue to do that, to play it every game, but it was nice to at least have that callback. So wanted to get that out the way. And this show, guys, is going to be very off the cuff. I usually have notes that I take on my laptop as I'm watching the game. And tonight, obviously, I couldn't have my laptop. So I had my phone, right? I was taking little mini notes here and there on my phone. So it's not going to be quite as detailed, but we are going to hit a lot of different points. You kind of just bear with me as I'm kind of getting everything together, right? But LCA was as loud as I have ever heard it before, guys. Like, it was louder than it was in 2019 by far. And, you could feel the place shaking, and the guys really did feed off of that energy. So it was nice to see the support that was given by the fans, everybody who showed up and showed out, right? It was nice to see that. Like I said, it didn't come to win, but it was electric, absolutely buzzing, absolutely electric. And Detroit showed out, representing the city well tonight. So I want to give the city, the fans, all of you guys credit for supporting this team. We've wanted this for a long time. Now we got it, and everybody showed up. That's how you respond. So kudos to everybody who was able to go to the game, or who at least wanted to go to the game, right? But yeah, shout out to you guys. DG, let me get to the super chat. Good seeing you again, Deuce. They gave us a good show, but couldn't get out of the hole they made themselves. Yes, I want to start by saying this, guys. This may not be a popular opinion. The Knicks played pretty well tonight. They played pretty well tonight. I know the refs, the officiating guys, some of these foul calls, some of these lack of foul calls, K spinning off of Mikal Bridges, sending him to the floor without touching. He just made him touch the earth, and then getting hacked, and they don't call anything. And then the very next play down the court, a ticky-tack foul gets called on Kate. It's like, bro, what are you looking at? Just some of the things that happened in this game are just kind of weird. Some of the things we saw in this game. But DG, I agree with you, man. They did dig themselves into a hole. They made a lot of mistakes. And honestly, guys, that is why I said from jump that I thought that this series would go 7. Because you can't simulate experience in practice. You can't simulate experience by your vets telling you what to expect. You have to go through it. You have to experience it. And even though they learned from some things in game 2 that they experienced in game 1, that wasn't everything. Like, you got to go through a whole series. And these guys they're learning on the fly, man. Like, Jalen Duren is 21 years old. Jaden Ivey is 22 years old. Kate is 23 years. These guys are young, man. You know what I mean? Asar is, what is Asar? 20, 22, 21. So these guys are young. We have our vets, yes, but, there's no replacement for experience. So that's why I still have this series going 7. I still am picking the Pistons to win in 7, but I think the Knicks' experience in this game showed, guys. Their experience showed in this game tonight, and the officiating was very suspect, but they made shots. We're gonna get to the box score, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. We're gonna be very, very honest here. As of right now, I know Beasley he missed a lot of shots, and it's the second game in a row now that Beasley has missed shots. We're going to get to him. But the Pistons offense is kind of struggling right now. I know we didn't have Stu, but when you look at the Knicks offense compared to the Pistons offense, right? Doesn't it feel like the Knicks offense just comes much easier? When you watch the game, the Pistons, they had to scrap and fight for their points. They had looks, they didn't go in, but even those looks, even it felt like the Knicks offense was just more unpredictable. They had more bucket getters, right? Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Cat, Jalen Brunson, they have more natural bucket getters. And I actually think that's why this game went back and forth, because I think the Knicks starting 5 is more potent, but I also think that the Pistons are deeper. That's why you will see a swing back and forth. The Pistons will get down, then you see them go to the benches. The Pistons will get back into it because the Pistons are deeper. So I think it's going to kind of be this way the entire series. It's going to be a hard-fought series, I think, all series long. And this was a game the Pistons could get. And I will say this, though. All 3 of these games were winnable for the Pistons. The first game, if it wasn't for that 21-0 run, they win that game. Last game, they almost gave it away, but they learned from game 1, and they were able to win that game. Tonight, they were in the game for most of the game. So that's the positive. All 3 of these games so far have been winnable. You could reason we should be up 2-1, right? But we're not. We're not. So the Pistons had chances. They had chances to win this game. They made too many mistakes. And I think their lack of experience played a big part in that. It wasn't for lack of effort. I have to say that. It was not for lack of effort. It was just more so lack of experience and lack of execution. And Karl-Anthony Towns tonight was just pulling from 30 multiple times. I don't know what he was on tonight, but it seemed like he really was trying to redeem himself from last game. Last game, he had 10 points and 6 rebounds. And he heard it from everybody. But tonight, the starting 5 for the Knicks, man. Starting 5 from the Knicks, everybody except for Josh Hart scored in double figures. Mikal Bridges had 20. OG had 22. Cat had 31. Brunson had 30. And Hart had 6. So, and when you look at the free throw difference, you can't even really point to that tonight. There were individual calls that did not make sense, but the Knicks shot 29, the Pistons shot 27. I think last game it was pretty close. Last game it was not. Last game we shot 34 and they shot 19. So we really can't complain, if we're being honest, guys, about the overall whistle. You can complain about individual whistles, right? But not the overall scope of one team getting more calls than the other. I think Tom Thibodeau's complaining after the last game may have played a factor into tonight. It shouldn't, right? But I think it did play a part into seeing guys like Jalen Brunson, who I think is a very good player, but it's hard to watch him sometimes, man. It's hard. It's hard for me to watch that style of play. Maybe it's because Cade is the polar opposite when it comes to foul baiting, and we have gotten used to seeing that. Like, if you're a Pistons fan, right? Knicks fans, if you're listening, if you're watching, Cade isn't built that way. He doesn't do that. He doesn't look for fouls. He likes contact, but he doesn't look for fouls. He doesn't wait for the call. He doesn't throw his body around. He doesn't flop in that way to try to draw a foul and then get mad when he doesn't get it. So for me personally, it's hard to watch that. It's hard to watch that continuously because it just kills the flow of the game. It just kills it. So that's just my take on that. But overall, the Pistons had their chances, man. You have to give the Knicks credit. We got to be fair. I know we lost, the Pistons fans, we lost this game, but we got to give the Knicks credit. They made shots tonight. The Knicks made shots tonight. And that's one thing that, the Pistons have to go back and film and look at how they can play better defense. They played solid defense for a good portion of the game, but, the Knicks shot 47% from the field tonight. They shot 37% from three as a team, So that's something that they had to look at. And I think that the Pistons will clean that up, but I'm not panicking, guys. As a Pistons fan, I am not panicking. It's just one game. We've showed that we can hang with these boys. We've showed that we can play. We've showed that we are at least on the same level with the New York Knicks. So I think going forward that the Pistons need to learn from this and move forward. And I see you guys in the comments. I see Tom here. Tom said nothing's changed. Pistons in 6. I feel you, Tom. The Pistons will have to win 4 straight to get there. I personally still have the Pistons winning in 7. I said before the series started that I thought it was going to go 7. And I thought because it was going to be of experience. We've said that over and over and over again. The experience sometimes it shows. And yeah, like we gotta be fair, guys. Like these, once again, the foul baiting is it's so cringe to me, guys. It's maybe I'm out of pocket. I don't feel like I am, but the foul baiting to me it's just gotta stop. But aside from that, he still made shots, tough shots. Cat still made tough shots, foul or not. They still made shots. Mikal Bridges got involved tonight, and Anunoby got involved tonight. Those guys made shots, so they deserve credit for that, right? But the Pistons still need to make sure that they are learning from these experiences. They're learning from these games. There are a lot of mental mistakes in this game tonight that the Pistons have to clean up. So another thing, guys, it's pretty clear these two teams do not like each other. These two teams do not like each other at all. It was 3 or 4 scuffles in this game tonight. Between multiple guys. You saw Paul Reed getting into it with Mitchell Robinson multiple times. You saw JD get into it with Jalen Brunson. Just a lot of talking, a lot of yapping, a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving, right? All night long. And that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with it. I like it. I like the competition. I like that nobody is friends. Nobody's trying to be friends. Nobody's buddy. It's playoff basketball, man. It's time to get to it. It's time to get to it. So I like that mentality a lot. And it's good to see that. It's good to see good competitive basketball. What was up with that Jalen Brunson foul when he smacked Tim Hardaway Jr. in the face, though? I thought that could have been worthy of an ejection, in my opinion. I mean, he made no intention. He had no intention of trying to hit the ball. He literally just smacked him in the face. And Sean, I forgot about this as well. Yeah, Cat elbowed Asar and busted his nose, and they didn't call anything. So, it was, but though, to be honest, those things happen. Those things happen. But when it's blatant like that, like the one with Brunson, like, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, yeah, it's, and guys, we're going to see more of that throughout the series. We're going to see more and more and more of that. It's just what we're going to see. SF King, you can feel how you feel, bro. You can feel it Bush League or not. All that matters is W's and losses. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. So whether you like that or not, you can stay here, you can go. But I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about because this is my channel. And that's just what it is. You don't like it, you can leave. Period. Moving on. Let's get back to this game. Let's talk about individuals now, guys. Let's get to individuals. Let's get to what happened actually in this game. So let's talk about Cade Cunningham first. 24 points, 11 assists, 7 boards, 4 steals, 2 blocks, 6 turnovers, 10 for 25 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line in 42 minutes. So this wasn't one of Cade's best games. He was getting hacked a lot. He was getting crowded again tonight, guys. I noticed that again. They're starting to crowd him more and more and more. I said at the end of last game, when he went wild, because if you guys remember, game 1, they crowded him, right? Game 2, they didn't double him nearly as much as they did in game 1. And he went crazy, right? They couldn't stop him in single coverage. Game 3, again tonight, you saw them crowding him more and trying to make other guys beat the Knicks. That's what we saw tonight, right? A lot of that. And unfortunately, we got contributions from certain guys, but there were other guys we didn't get contributions from that had we gotten contributions from, it would have been a different game, It's unfortunate because we did have a lot of individual performances show up that we don't normally get, and we may not get again in this series. We'll get to those other guys, but we did have guys step up. But guys that we have been able to rely on didn't really give us a lot tonight. And so we'll get to that, but I don't think Cade played bad, but I just think he could have played better. But by no stretch of the imagination did we lose this game because of Cade Cunningham, right? I mean, 24 and 11 and 7. Come on, right? He didn't shoot it well. 10 for 25 is not good. He played a team high 42 minutes again. And once again, guys, this is what I'm saying. Having another guard that can take pressure off him. We know what Schroeder did, right? We know Schroeder really stepped up big tonight. He played 30 as well. But those are your only 2 point guards. Those are your only 2 guys who can set the table. And so when you have to play those guys together, right, in order to give somebody like Cade, to give him some relief, to give him driving lanes, right, to give him plays off where he can actually rest, it makes it tough because as soon as you go to your bench, say you sit Cade down, now you got Schroeder at the point, but Schroeder's not full strength. He's not fresh because he's had to play alongside Cade the whole, along during that time frame. So that's what I mean when I say that I think the Pistons, that's kind of where they're struggling right now, is that they don't have anybody else who can really set the table other than those 2 guys. And they don't really have another bucket getter that can just go get a bucket. We have guys who have filled in admirably in that role at times, right? But we don't have a consistent bucket getter outside of that, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at when I talk about this. And I think Phantom of Darkness hit it on the head. We have Ivy, though, and this series is 3-0. It's at least 2-1. I'll give the Knicks credit and say it's 2-1. I won't say it's 3-0, but you could be right. But he is the difference maker. He is the difference maker. If he is available, the offense runs so much smoother for everybody, right? And because you have another ball handler who can get downhill and score, but you also have a guy that can facilitate as well. And Cade, Jaden, and Schroeder are pretty much the only guys who can do both, right? They're the only guys who can do both. Schroeder is more of a natural point guard, right? He got buckets tonight, but he's going to have games where he gives you 20 and other games where he gives you 10. right? 25 and then 10. So I want him to focus on more so being the point guard. I know he really knocked down a lot of shots tonight, but I don't want to have to rely on Schroeder doing that every single game of the series, if that makes sense. So that's a big thing too. So, there's nothing we can do about it. We know Jason's not available, but I think we can all see now that had we had somebody of his caliber on the floor alongside of Cade, right, that it will make the game so much easier for everybody and the offense will run so much smoother. So that's kind of where I am with that. But yeah, KS25. Yeah, we are missing Stu as well. And I'm not taking anything away from Paul Reed. We're going to get to all these guys. Paul Reed came in, guys, and filled in admirably. He was admirable. We know that he's not going to be Isaiah Stewart, right? We know that there's really only one Isaiah Stewart, and that's Isaiah Stewart, especially defensively. But I really was encouraged by what I saw from Paul Reed. I think Paul Reed in the NBA is probably your third big, right? And tonight you're asking him to play against, starters. And that's tough. That's tough. That's very tough. But he did give a lot of effort. He gave a lot of effort, man. And he did the best he could. He did the best he absolutely could. But as far as Cade goes, he could have played better, but he definitely did what he could with what he had available to him. And it's hard when you get crowded over and over and over and over again. It's tough. It's tough to make the right decision every time, especially when you can feel a situation, when you can feel the game kind of getting away, or you can feel that, the team is kind of in a lull and you're the best suited guy to get you a bucket. It's hard sometimes to always continue to rely on the others, especially when you know that they're trying to force you to do that. And when you have guys like Bees who is struggling, it's hard to continue to go to that guy because you know how quickly the game can get away if you miss multiple shots, right? Flow of the game. He understands that. So it's hard. I think that's why he went 10 for 25. I think he was forcing it a little bit, trying to get the offense going, trying to put the team on his back a little bit too much because he could feel that he's the only guy that can get a bucket at will, right? And when you do that, when it doesn't come within the flow of the offense, the likelihood of the bucket going in goes down. So it's just a byproduct of not having enough offense on the floor consistently. So I'm not gonna blame him for that. He was trying to lead this team. It just didn't work out. Didn't work out in the win tonight. So let's move on to Tim Hardaway Jr., guys. Tim Hardaway Jr., man, was very, very good tonight. Very, very good tonight. I was very, very impressed with what I saw from Tim Hardaway Jr., man. 24 points, 2 boards, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, 4 fouls, 7 for 13 from the field, 7 for 12 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line in 36 minutes. Tim Hardaway Jr., guys, was on one tonight, man. This was by far the best game of the series for him because of the shot making and because of the efficiency that he did it at. He's always going to give you solid defense. We know that, right? He's not going to do anything glamorous defensively. He's not going to get you a bunch of home runs defensively. He's not going to get steals and like Asar does, getting steals for turnovers and things like that. That's not his game. He's a very good team defender. He's a very solid positional defender. But tonight, THJ was the one that could say, "Don't touch me, I'm sizzling." Because he was making shot after shot after shot in this game, man. Like, he really had it going. And he hit a lot of shots when the Pistons needed them. When it seemed like when the Pistons were about to go down double digits, he would knock down a shot, right? When the Pistons were stuck in the mud offensively, he would knock down a shot. And I got to give him credit, man. His clutch gene tonight was on one. Was on one, man. Absolutely. It was nice to see that. It was nice. He really picked up the slack for Beasley. If Beasley knocks down just a few threes, this is a totally different game. And I'm not going to get on Bees because he has been great for us all year. I am not going to trip on Bees, and neither should you guys trip on B. I see a lot of Beasley in the chat. No, that shouldn't be the narrative. Beasley didn't knock down shots tonight. That shouldn't be the narrative. It happens. Your shot is not always going to fall 100% of the time. It's just not reality. He's been great for us all year. We know what he did this year. So I'm not going to kill Beasley at all for that. But it's just one of those games. And he had it the last game. He shot, I think, 1 for 8. And tonight, he didn't shoot well either. But we're going to get to B's later. But Tim Hardaway Jr. was great, man. He was great. He was he had as many points as Cade. They both had 24 tonight. So he was the other guy tonight, right? But you can't expect to get 24 points from Tim Hardaway every game. You can't expect that. That's not the recipe for success. If your second option is Tim Hardaway Jr., if you're trying to beat the Knicks, that's not what you want. So it just shows the Pistons have to do the best they can with what they have available, right? And it's just kind of how it is. But aside from that, he really played well tonight. I have to give him a lot of credit. He's been very, very consistent over the season, not giving us 20 a game, but just giving us 10 to 15 a game, solid defense, making the right play, making winning basketball plays. That is Tim Hardaway Jr. He's a winning basketball player. He doesn't play above his head. He doesn't play out of a scope. He doesn't shoot you out of games. He makes the right plays. He takes good shots, and more times than not, he's knocking them down. And evidence of that was tonight. So great game from Tim Hardaway Jr. It's unfortunate that this performance was wasted, but hopefully he can continue to at least give us that consistent play that he's given us all year long. I think he will. Okay, let's go to Ausar Thompson. And this is kind of where things kind of get a little bit hairy. Ausar Thompson had 7 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 4 fouls, 2 or 3 from the field, in 18 minutes. So, guy, 18 minutes. I'm kind of struggling with Ausar right now, guys. We know what he is, but it's hard when you're consistently not getting scoring from that wing position. We know he's a great defender, but in this series, they are not allowing him to defend that in ways that helps him to be advantageous, right? Jalen Brunson, he draws fouls. Ausar Thompson is a physical defender. He's a very good defender, but it's not working for him in this series because he's going against somebody that knows how to manipulate the officiating and knows how to get foul calls. So it's hard when he's not scoring because even defensively, he's not giving you what you're used to seeing from him. So he's kind of just out there. He does make plays here and there. He had 4 assists, 3 boards. I got to give him credit for that. He had a steal, but 7 points. And even though he wasn't the only person guarding Jalen Brunson, Brunson still had 30 points and 9 assists and 7 rebounds. And you know what I mean? So it's hard for me right now with Ausar because he's not really above average on either end of the floor right now. He's struggling. He's struggling right now. And you can see he's really still trying to find himself offensively. He's struggling to find who he is for this team right now offensively. It's not panic time. It's just unfortunate that it's happening at a point in the season when we only have 4 losses to work with, right? So for me, Ausar needs to continue to work on his game. I think this offseason is going to be a very, very important offseason for him. I still think the sky is the limit for him. I am not panicking. I'm not saying bench Ausar Thompson. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying I see what I see. And right now he's struggling. He's struggling, man. He's struggling to find his way. He just has to stay with it, continue to try to play to his game. And he's not really able to get out in transition, guys, because when fouls get called the way they do, steals are scarce, and Brunson takes care of the ball. He doesn't get ripped. He doesn't get plucked. We see Ausar most of the season being able to, kind of pick guys apart and, and rip the ball away from guys. But Brunson takes care of the basketball. So he takes care of the ball and he knows how to draw fouls, so it makes it hard for guys like Ausar who are at their best when they're getting out in transition. It makes it hard for him because now Ausar, for the most part, is playing in half-court offense. And that's not him at his best. So I think, and yes, Cliff, Brunson plays in space. So I think that's what's really making it difficult for guys like Ausar to be effective because Ausar is a finisher. Ausar is a guy who likes to use his speed, get out in transition, and score. He's not a shooter. He's not great in the half-court. You don't really see Ausar making a lot of half-court decisions. You see Ausar grabbing and going, like we always talk about. Grabbing a rebound and trying to push. But the Knicks do a good job of getting back on defense. They do a good job of getting back on defense and not allowing the Pistons to do what they like to do best, which is get out and run. And that negates his effectiveness. So it's just a byproduct of how he's being defended and how the Knicks are doing a good job of getting back. I got to give them credit for that, right? They're doing a good job of that. So Asar is not really as effective as we would like him to be on either end of the floor right now. And like I said, it's just a byproduct of how he's being played and the style of play. So he has to continue to work on his game. This offseason is going to be very, very important for Asar. But I'm not panicking. I am not jumping off the boat with Asar. He just has a little ways to go. I think that's pretty clear. Let's get to Jalen Duren, guys. Jalen Duren has 16 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 5 fouls on 7 for 10 shooting, 2 of 2 from the free throw line in 32 minutes. I felt like JD started out this game very, very well. I felt like the beginning of the game, he really was trying to set a tone for how this game was going to be played, right? We saw him really defending the interior very, very well, right? Not allowing anything at the rim. And one thing with JD that we saw late in this game, first of all, I love JD's toughness. I love his toughness. On the court, he's an enforcer, right? He's not letting anything slide, right? If somebody's trying to do or say something, fishy or, like slick, he's letting them know about it and he's not allowing it. And then he's getting in guys' faces and he's pushing guys off when they're trying to pull it. Like, he's like, no, don't touch me. I like what I'm seeing from a toughness standpoint from JD. But aside from that, I think JD did show his youth tonight. He showed his youth tonight. He made some mistakes that you could expect a 21-year-old to make, right? And it's just things, that he can clean up, definitely. For example, later in the game, in the second half, Pistons down a few points and jump ball with Jalen Brunson, right? Jalen Brunson jump ball, you're supposed to win that 95% of the time, maybe 100% of the time, with a guy like Brunson who doesn't even have a lot of bunnies, and he's 6 feet 1-2, right? So you're not supposed to lose that jump ball. He doesn't lose the jump ball, but he knocks the ball out of bounds. Things like that. Possessions in the playoffs, guys, are so important, especially in a defensive series when final scores are how they were last game, 194. Like, possessions are very, very important. You can't just give them away. That's why turnovers are very, very important to try to keep those low too. You got to get a shot on goal. So things like that, when he's, tossing the ball out of bounds off a jump ball, and that can't happen. Or when the Pistons are down 3, the game was probably over at this point, right? But the Pistons are down 3 with half a second left on the clock at the end of the game, and the inbound goes out of bounds. It's just they haven't been in these situations before, guys. They have not been in situations like this before, and that's kind of what I'm saying. And so, aside from that, he played pretty good. I'm sorry, I said 3. Cliff, yes, we were down 2. And inbounding the ball, and he throws it out of bounds. He's trying to get it to Cade, and he throws it out. They had a miscommunication, and he throws it out of bounds, right? So, like, that can't happen, But those are the mistakes that guys make in their first go around in the playoffs. He's 21, So Cindy Hare, exactly. The lack of experience is now showing. Too many mistakes. That's why I thought it was going 7 games, guys. That's why I've been saying 7 games since the beginning. You got to factor that stuff in. I felt like the Pistons could have been and I still feel that the Pistons are going to get better as the series goes on. Games 5, 6, which I think they'll get to in 7. I think they'll get better as the series goes on because they are on a very, very quick learning curve right now. They have to learn and grow up really, really fast right now. So I think as the series wears on, it favors the Pistons for 2 reasons. First, the experience, right? They learn on the fly, but they're still learning. And also, the Knicks only play 7 or 8 guys max, right? After their starters, they go with Deuce, Miles McBride. They go with Campaign sometimes, but those guys are kind of similar in what they do. Even though I do think Miles McBride is better, they kind of do some of the same things. And Mitchell Robinson, that's it. The Pistons, they're deeper. So I think in a 7-game series, in a physical series, that favors the younger, more rested, less wear and tear from the regular season, deeper team. That favors them. That favors the Pistons as the series goes on. So that's why I had the Pistons winning in 7 games. And when you think about it, the Pistons were just as good on the road as they were at home. They played 3 games this series. Their only win is on the road. Now, of course, they have another game coming up at home, but they've been road warriors all year. So I'm not worried about them necessarily in a game 7 in New York. I'm not. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the series playing out. I think the Pistons push this to 7. I can see them losing game 6 at home and then going back home or going on the road and winning it at 7. That's kind of my take. So we'll see what happens. But guys, there's no need to panic. Even if the Pistons don't win this series, which I think they will, it's still no reason to panic. We were the 6th seed playing the 3rd seed. So it's no reason to be panicking right now. We just got to let the games happen and just kind of see how they play out. But as far as JD, yeah, he made some rookie mistakes. He's not a rookie, but he made some, lack of experience mistakes that most guys make when they haven't been here before. It's just what happens. But once again, it was not for lack of effort. He has to work on continuing to stay out of foul trouble. 5 fouls again tonight. We talked about Asar before about the best ability being availability, right? We talked about that. JD tonight, that was the case. He just could not stay on the floor. When he had 4 fouls going into the 4th quarter and not even a minute into the quarter, first possession, he picks up 5. I personally would have left him on the bench to start the 4th quarter. I would have. So that way, if he comes into the game and gets that 5th foul, there's only 5 minutes left now instead of 9 minutes. And you know what I mean? I would have went with Paul Reed to start the 4th quarter. The game was still in hand. It was still a question. It wasn't the game was over. They could have weathered the storm, in my opinion, with JD on the bench and with Paul Reed the way he was playing. He was playing well. So I think the Pistons should have went that route. But because they didn't, first possession of the game in the 4th quarter, he picks up 5. And that's a JD thing more, in my opinion, than a question thing, because you got to know time and score. You got to know the situation. You have to know the situation. You got to, and I've said it about JD all year. When you pick up an early foul in the 1st quarter, you got to play defense differently. You can't play the same way. You have to play softer. It means you're going to sacrifice some defense, but we still need your rebounding. We still need your presence. Even if you can't play the same way defensively, you got to be on the floor, right? So that was kind of how I felt about him in the 4th quarter when he had 4 fouls. You got to know the situation. You can't pick up that 5th foul so early, because if you do, you've only played 20 seconds and now you got to go sit down again for another 6-7 minutes. Those are the types of things that he needs to learn. And that's why I'm not going to kill him for it, even though he has to work on it. This is his first time here in this situation, right? So that's why with JD, we're going to continue to see growing pains like we're going to see with everybody else. But this is part, guys. This is part of the growing pains. This is part of the growing and learning process, especially when you're playing a team who's been here before, who knows what and have experienced the things that our young guys are not experiencing right now. And that, guys, takes us to Tobias Harris. Okay, so Tobias Harris tonight, guys, had 5 points, 6 boards, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 5 fouls, 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3-point in 32 minutes. So Tobias did not play well tonight, right? He did not play well tonight. He played very, 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 very hard, but he just was not able to be as effective as I think he would have liked to be, and as effective as we would like him to be. And once again, this is kind of like with Beasley. I think, guys, this is just a perfect storm in the wrong way. Like, guys who have been consistent throughout the season and that we have been able to rely upon are struggling right now. We talked about Bees. We're going to get to Bees. He's struggling. He struggled tonight, right? Tobias also. Those are 2 of the guys who have been very, very reliable and very efficient for most of the season. And right now, they're both kind of struggling, right? Tobias tonight was 2 for 9 overall, 1 of 3 from 3, right? In 33, the fact that he had 5 points and 3 of those 5 points came at the very end of the game on a 3-pointer right before JD's turnover, right? So he really, he would have finished with 2 points if not for that 3-pointer, So he didn't play well tonight. And this, guys, and this is not in any way, shape, or form to minimize what he has meant to this team. I want to put that out there. I don't want to minimize Tobias Harris at all. I like Tobias Harris. I really, really do. But this, guys, is why I felt like the Pistons needed to get a little bit bigger and a little bit more athletic at that 4 spot. Because we see, as of right now, Jalen Duren is not able to defend Cat well enough consistently without fouling. We see that. That's why he's guarding Josh Hart. Right? Because Josh Hart is not somebody who can go get his own bucket. So that you can put JD on him. Right? But what does that mean for Tobias Harris? That means he has to guard Cat because he is quick enough to guard him. He's not strong enough really to guard him, but that's a better situation. At least coach feels is a better situation to have Tobias guard him instead of JD because of the lack of, well, not lack of quickness, but because Tobias is quicker than JD. When Cat puts the ball on the floor, he can stay with him. And that's once again why Isaiah Stewart is missed, because Isaiah Stewart is the happy medium between JD and Tobias. He's not quite as big as JD, but he's bigger than Tobias, right? He may not have the same foot speed as Tobias, but he's got better foot speed than JD. He's kind of the tweener of the two. So if he's not available, it's going to be a mismatch either way on Cat, right? So that's kind of what was the issue tonight when it came to Tobias, is that he's just not big enough. He's not big enough, and he's not strong enough to consistently keep him out of the paint. You know? So that's what we saw tonight. And that's not to take anything away from him, but you just can't teach size. You can't teach size. And this is not one of his better games. You know, we saw him try to go to the hoop on Cat, and Cat stripped him. You know, it's just things that we saw tonight that we don't usually see. Right? But this is why I think this offseason, the Pistons need to look at that position seriously if they're looking to contend for championships in the next few years. Right? And I do think Tobias has a role on this team. I just don't think that he is a starter long-term going forward if the Pistons are trying to compete at that next level, especially considering who we're going to be. And this is what I said, guys. I've said this all year. Considering the teams we're going to be playing. If you guys remember, I said back in November, if you look at the teams in the East, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Cavs, the Knicks, those teams for the most part play big, right? Both of those forward spots are bigs, like true bigs. And the Pistons don't have that with Tobias Harris. And that, to me, is the difference. And I think in the series, we're seeing that. We're seeing the difference. We're seeing it manifest itself now because in playoffs, guys look at film, they find mismatches, they find strengths, they find weaknesses, and they make adjustments. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. Organic Lino says Tobias, playoff Tobias. So yeah, I mean, yeah, like, you know, and it happens. It happens. I'm not even gonna go Sixers route because he really got done dirty over there, the way the fans treated him. I'm not gonna do that to him. I know what you're saying, Organic. I know what you're saying, but I'm not gonna do that to him. But I do understand the point. But bad game for Tobias. But you know, it's the Pistons have to address that. I think they're seeing that more now than ever, that they have to address that. So bad game for Tobias. Move on. Next game. Let this one go. Come back. But I do think the Pistons need to. Hopefully they get Isaiah Stewart back. Because if they get Stewart back, that changes a lot of things. That changes a lot of things. And I think we don't see Cat barking the way he does when Isaiah Stewart's on the court. Because Isaiah Stewart can keep him out of the paint. Isaiah Stewart can stand him up. When Cat tries to bang and back Stu down, Stu don't move. He doesn't move. And he knows how to frustrate Karl Anthony Towns. He's strong enough to keep from being bullied to the basket, and he's quick enough on the perimeter to stay in front. He is the perfect happy medium between JD and Tobias. So that is why I think Stewart coming back will be very, very important. Hopefully he comes back next game. He's missed the last two, but hopefully he comes back next game because the Pistons are going to need him if they're going to win the series. They're going to need Isaiah Stewart, and I think that is becoming more and more obvious as the series goes along. So not to rush him back, but hopefully in time, if he's healthy enough, he can come back next game and we can get back to who we are and move forward. All right, let's get to the bench, guys, quickly, and then we can go ahead and call it a night and look ahead to the next game. So we mentioned it, man. We're going to start with the bright spot in this game. Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder, guys, tonight was absolutely hooping on both ends of the court. Both ends of the court, man. Man. And once again, it's so unfortunate that guys like Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr., their performances kind of get lost because the Pistons weren't able to get the dub. He played very, very well, though. He played pretty good defense on Jalen Brunson. You know, he's not quite as big as Brunson, but he's crafty. He's very, very crafty, and he understands angles and positions and timing and he understands what gets a call for a foul and what doesn't. Like, he understands how to play the game. Tonight he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 fouls on 6 from 9 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line in 30 minutes. So, like, this is what I mean. Like, this is unfortunate because anytime you get 4 or 6 from 3 from Dennis Schroeder, you better win that game. You better win that game. You know what I mean? Like, and not to get it twisted, Schroeder is a starting caliber point guard. You know, Trajan Langdon cooked once again, bringing him here. He has shown since he's been here that he is not lacking of any experience. He's not lacking of any confidence. He's ready to go. He's not afraid. He's fearless. He's ready to go. So if I'm a Pistons fan, I'm hoping the Pistons at least look to bring him back, even with Jaden coming back probably. Well, I won't say probably, but potentially next year. We don't know what's going to happen with JI yet, but I do think he is good to have here, even when Jaden does come back, as that guard that can settle things if you need it, you know. And he's also a guy who can play alongside Jaden because, once again, you know, he's a very versatile guard. You know, he's able to play off guard and he's able to play point guard. So I think regardless of who's on the court in the backcourt, you can play Dennis Schroeder as long as it's not a small guard like a Sasser, right? But I think that we should look to keep him around even after the season because what he brings on both ends, the scrappiness that he brings, especially defensively, and the ability to operate and set the table offensively and get his own shot, that's very, very valuable. Very, very valuable, man. This game could have gotten away. This game could have gotten away if not for Dennis Schroeder settling things down and knocking down shots. It could have got away. So definitely want to keep him around. Definitely want to keep him around, man. So you know, once again, he did his thing, man. He did his thing. I'm really, really happy with what we got from Dennis Schroeder all season long. Well, all the back half of the season. He's been great. He's been absolutely great. All right. We talked about Beasley a little bit. We're going to get a little bit more into him and keep it moving because we know what the story is on Beasley. He had 12 points tonight, 2 boards, 1 assist, three personal fouls on 4 of 14 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3. So last game, he was 1 for 8 from the field. And tonight, 4 of 14. So he is officially in the shooting slump. 2 of 10. I don't think we've seen him shoot 2 of 10 maybe 5 or 6 times max this year. He's been very, very efficient, which is why he is one of 5 guys to make over 300 3-pointers in the season. Right? You don't do that by shooting a poor percentage often. Doesn't happen. So, you know, once again, like I mentioned before, it's just bad timing. Him and Tobias not shooting well, bad timing. It's coming at the worst possible time. The same way Isaiah Stewart, who's an Ironman all season, gets hurt right now. It's just bad timing all around. If Isaiah Stewart is healthy and those guys are continuing to do what they've done all season, we're not down 1-2. It's just bad timing. It's bad timing. So that's why I'm not panicking. And that's why even if we don't win this series, I'm not panicking. I'm not upset. I'm not even really bothered. You know, I would like, of course, to move on. Absolutely. But everything going forward from this point, guys, is gravy. That is in no way, shape, or form saying I'm happy with us losing. But when you look at where we were last year and look at where we are now, it's easy to get greedy, but let's not forget where we were. Let's not forget where we were. So with these things happening at the same time, it makes it hard to win games. Tobias shooting 2 for 9, Beasley going back-to-back games, shooting slump, Isaiah Stewart not available. All things that have not happened all year are happening at the same time. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but you got to keep playing. You got to keep playing. So that's the story on Bees. I honestly think that he will bounce back next game. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. So let's move on to Ron Holland. Ron Holland tonight, guys, had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 block, 1 turnover, 1 foul, 0 for 2 from the field in 12 minutes. And he shot 0 of 1 from the free throw line. But bright spot, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. All his points came from the line. So it may not seem like it, but I thought Ron Holland played pretty well tonight, even though he didn't score, even though he didn't make a shot from the field, right? His defense, as soon as he came into the game, was bothersome. Even though he didn't have one steal, he made so many effort plays in this game. We always talk about this, guys. The importance of being able to impact a game when you're not scoring. I think Ron Holland is the epitome of that. Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, we've got guys on this team that are the epitome of impacting games, even if you're not scoring, right? And so Organic Lindo, I was going to get to this, and then we'll get to Michael Hustle as well. Organic Lindo says Holland should be deboing Asar in Beasley's minutes like he just left Felicia. Craig, come here. Yeah, I think Ron Holland right now has been more effective than Asar. You know, and that's not taking anything away from Asar, but Ron seems to be, for me, from my point of view, he seems to be the more complete, balanced player on both ends of the court. I think Asar does have the higher ceiling just because of his natural ability, right? He's got great instincts, and his athleticism is off the freaking charts. Asar, right? But Ron is no slouch athletically. And I think Ron's game is just a little bit more balanced than Asar. That doesn't mean throw Ron in the starting lineup. You know, I'm not saying that either, because Ron is a rookie. He's still a rookie. And I'm not trying to downplay that, right? He is a rookie. But I think his game is a little bit more polished, just as a pure basketball player on both ends of the court. Better shooter, better handle. And he doesn't seem to get in foul trouble as much either. He doesn't seem to be quite as aggressive, or I wouldn't even say aggressive. He doesn't seem to be quite as reckless at times defensively. Ron seems to know how to be aggressive without being reckless, without getting called for ticky-tack fouls that you shouldn't get called for. Getting the way Asar would get called for fouls in the backcourt numerous times on Beasley, trying to get a steal, when the likelihood of you getting a steal compared to getting a foul, it's like, come on. It's a bad foul. We don't see Ron doing that nearly as much as we see Asar doing that. So these are just things I'm noticing, right? I'm not jumping to any conclusions about who's a starter, who's not. I'm just taking data. The same way the coaches are taking data, the same way we're all taking data. This is evaluation time, along with trying to win games. And Ron seems to be a little bit more polished, balanced on both sides of the court. That's all I'm saying. So I felt he was very impactful tonight. He came into the game and was not giving an inch. He is just in your face. He's in your face, man. He makes you uncomfortable. He makes it hard to like him if you're the opposition. And I love it. I love it, man. So, like I said, he didn't shoot well. Only took 2 shots, missed them both. But the impact that he had in this game was glaring. Diving for loose, keeping plays alive that shouldn't be kept alive. Getting 50-50 balls that he should not be getting. Some 50-50 balls you're supposed to get, and you don't get it because you didn't put in the effort to go to the floor to go get it. And some 50-50 balls you're not supposed to get regardless of how hard you try to get to the floor and get it. Some of them are just the ball's too far away from you and it's closer to the opposition. You're not supposed to get that one. He finds ways to go get those. Ways to go get those. So I just like what we see from Asar, man. What I'm seeing from Asar, not Asar, but Ron. He just, as a rookie, shows that he is ready. He's not playing fantastic basketball, but he's playing impactful basketball, and not impactful in a negative way for the most part. So, yeah, I like what I saw from Ron, and he's going to continue to get better. Yeah, he's an energizer beast. Ron Hustle Holland. Yeah, exactly right. Assist expert 40, 100%. All right. Organic says, given Asar had no real basketball activities in the offseason and preseason, his play has been an athletic miracle. Asar will be vicious next year. That's a good point, too, because he missed 8 months with a blood clot. Right? So who knows where he would be in his progression had that not happened. Right? That's a lot of time off. It's not a few weeks here and there where you come, because even with just a few weeks of being off, it still may take you a while to get back into your rhythm, to get your conditioning back tight, to get your chemistry and camaraderie back with your teammates. That still happens in these times with just a few weeks. But when you're out that long without any basketball activity because of the sensitivity and seriousness of a blood clot, right? That's could be life threatening if not handled correctly. So, that's a very good point by Organic. We talked about that all year long. So that's why I'm not bashing him or getting on him like that, because that's a very real thing. It's a very real thing. So that's why I said earlier, this offseason is going to be very, very important for him, because he didn't really have an offseason the last time around. So we'll see what happens. And that's why, I'm not panicking. I am not panicking at all. At all. So we'll see what happens. Sports Time says, I have faith the star will improve by a decent margin next season. Just need exactly. Just need that offseason and confidence back. Bingo. 100% Sports Time. Welcome to the channel, bro. For sure. All right. Let's go ahead and go to Paul Reed, and then we will call it a night. So Paul Reed tonight, guys, has 4 points, 8 rebounds, 1 block, 1 turnover, made his only shot in 16 minutes. So Paul Reed is not going to come in, guys, and give you a ton of offense, because that's not what Isaiah Stewart does. And we need him to just give us some of what Isaiah Stewart can give us, right? He's not Isaiah Stewart defensively. Like I mentioned, nobody really is. Isaiah Stewart is a defensive player of the year candidate if he plays more minutes, right? He just didn't play enough minutes. But I liked what I saw from him from an effort standpoint. 8 rebounds in 16 minutes. Yeah, I'm taking that. He got a block. He altered a ton more shots. He was diving to the floor. You could see he was just trying to do all the dirty work for this team. He was trying to be someone who could really protect the interior and just be an option on offense, right? Just be available offensively. And he made his only shot, right? So actually, he did not. Did he make his only shot? Let me see. It says 1 for 1 field goal, but it says 2 for 4 from the free throw. So yeah, he had 4 points. Yeah. So he made his only shot and he made 2 free throws. He missed the other 2. So, I'm not really, it's hard, because I feel like with Stu, we probably win this game. But I don't want to, by saying that, I don't want to take away from what I did see from Paul Reed, because I do think that he filled in admirably and did the very best that he could to really help us try to win this game. He's not the reason we lost. He's not the reason we lost this game. I think guys like Tobias Harris giving us 5 points. We talked about it. Bees shooting 4 for 14 from the field. If Bees shoots 50% and goes 7 for 14, or just knocks down 4 of 10 instead of 2 for 10, or if Tobias goes 4 for 9 instead of 2 for, just a little bit more, we were right there the whole game. And that's why, once again, I'm not panicking. Guy, exactly. We lost as a team. 100%. It's not just one person. It's never just one person, right? It's never just one person. For me, the biggest thing tonight was experience, the lack thereof. Too many mistakes from too many guys. That and the lack of shot making, in my opinion, is what lost us this game. And the Knicks on the other side, they made shots. All of their starters made shots. But once again, I think the longer the series goes on, it favors the Pistons, because they will be the fresher team. And if you guys pay attention, go for it. Watch the next couple games, guys. From what I've seen, the Pistons get down at times because the Knicks have a more potent offense. But when we go to the bench, that's when we start to take control of the game, because we're deeper. Our bench is better than the bench. And that's why you see the game kind of go like this, back and forth. Starters playing, now the bench is in. Bringing the starters back, bringing the bench back. You know what I mean? The depth is important, even though our starters are not as potent offensively. We're a team. We're a better team, in my opinion. So that's why I think we'll win the series. I think these two teams are evenly matched. And with us being able to win the last game without Isaiah Stewart and have a chance to win this game without Isaiah Stewart, and should have won game 1 with Isaiah Stewart, if not for that 21-0 run, I'm not panicking. We're fine. As long as we don't go down 3-1, we're fine. If we go in and take care of business next game at home, because you can't lose 2 at home. You got to at the least split at home. But even if we do split at home, they still have home court advantage. We still got to go get 2 now instead of 1 in New York. And that's what it comes down to. If we win the next game, it suddenly becomes a 3-game series. And we got to win 2. 1 on the road, 1 at home. That's literally what it comes down to. So we will see what happens after the next game. If we don't win next game, guys, then we'll be having a very different conversation about the outlook of this series. If we go down 3-1, I don't know if we can come back and win this series going down 3-1, especially because of the reasons I mentioned about this team being so young and having not been in this situation before. So it's imperative for the Pistons, if they're going to move on to the next series, to not go down 3-1 and expect to be able to come back and win. That's kind of how I see this going. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. Organic Lindo says, when we go to Larry first. Larry, what's going on, Larry? Larry says, referee win that game from the Knicks. For the Knicks. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I can't even say that, Larry. Like, if you look at the free throws, I know what you're saying, but it was 29-27. Knicks fans are saying it was that we won that last game because we shot 15 more free throws. So, they only shot 2 more than we did tonight. You know what I mean? So I know what you're saying. Individual calls, some of them were terrible. I do agree. Some of the individual calls were terrible. Like, what are you looking at or not looking at? But overall, of the whole scope of the game, it was pretty even. And even Coach Bickerstaff said that he's not really mad with how the series is being called as a whole. We don't want to see Jalen Brunson getting all these ticky-tack calls, but he's probably going to get those the rest of the series. I hate to say it, but he's probably going to get that whistle the way he's gotten it the rest of the series. They're probably going to be consistent with that. I hate to say it, but the Pistons are just going to have to work through it. They got to work through it. And as long as Cade is still getting his whistle, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. We can't expect to have a better whistle than the Knicks. That's not going to happen. We're not going to have a better whistle than the Knicks. We should be happy of getting a fair whistle, a consistent, balanced whistle. If we get that, I'm with that. And if they let both of these teams play, if they kind of swallow the whistle a little bit and kind of let these teams play, that favors the Pistons because we're the more physical team. If they let that stuff go, that favors the Pistons. So we'll see what happens over these next 4 potentially games. I think it's going 7, so I'm going to say 4 games. But the Pistons have to win next game. Next game is their game 7. If they lose next game, they're not winning the series. They're not winning the series if they lose in this game. It's not mathematically impossible. I understand that, but that needs to be the mindset. That needs to be the mindset. You got to go get game 4. Especially, you can't lose 2 straight at home. You absolutely cannot lose. You can't do it. Yes, Blue, next game is clutch, 100%. That has to be, you got to go all out for that game. Don't do anything uncharacteristic. Just play to who you are at 110%. That's it. That's literally it. You do that, whether you knock down shots or not, you got to do that. You got to execute. No, you can't be careless with the basketball. You can't be careless with the defense. You can't be getting bad fouls. You can't having to go to the bench. You can't do that. You can't. And that's why I think Isaiah Stewart is so important if he can come back, because he is a disciplined player. He doesn't hurt you when he's in the game. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't commit bad foul after bad foul and I just got to go to the bench. He doesn't do that. He plays winning basketball, which is why I think if we can get him next game, if he plays next game, we win game 4. I'm going to say it now. If Isaiah Stewart comes back next game, the Pistons will win game 4. I'm going to go ahead and guarantee that right now. If Isaiah Stewart is back for game 4, the Pistons will win it, period. I'm going to leave it at that, and we can call it a night. So I appreciate you guys staying up with me, not waiting for me to get back home. Like I mentioned, I got back home a little bit late, so I apologize for that. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the next game, man. I think this series is going to go the distance. It's going to go 7 games, and I still have the Pistons winning it in 7, winning 3 of the next 4. So with that, we will see what happens next game. It's been a great show with you guys, and I'm looking forward to getting back with you guys for next game. Hope you guys are all having a great night. Hope everybody's out there being safe. Looking forward to getting back with you guys. As always, I appreciate you. And y'all know the drill, man. If you don't by now, you should. But in case you don't, it's Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
rewind, 2021. There was a parade in my city. Number one pick, dancing in the street. Everybody was hitting the gritty. Kid arrived in the D, and it was live as can be. They can ball, but we didn't want Green, Mobley, or Scotty B. When he got hurt, everyone lost it. Storylines leaking, no faucet. Caught him wash when he broke his tibia. All the haters, time to get it really Everybody wanna be Skip Bayless. Wanna throw shade, okay, say less. Dudes went number one for a reason. It'll click by the end of the season. When he wins most improved player. Gonna be a movie, here's the trailer. Don't say I didn't try to warn ya. Co-signed by Win Benyama.
Kate Cunningham.
He was raised in Texas, but now he's Detroit flexing. Team USA, he was killing them. Got him effed up, let me quote Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move and live. It's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Kate. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move and live. It's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Kate.
Forgot about Kate. They forgot about Kate. Forgot about how you forget about Kate.